Have you ever watched a movie that changed your life? I don't mean that as a figure of speech. I'm asking if you've ever watched something that fundamentally changed how you operate on a day to day basis. Well, out of all the films I've ever seen, this has only happened once. And the movie that I'm talking about is called About Time. In my opinion, About Time is one of the most underrated movies of all time. It's featured on tons of sleeper hit movie lists, and it's gained quite the following over the years. If you just watch the trailer, you'd think it's a typical rom com, but there is so much more than meets the eye here. This movie is about love, yes, but it's also about embracing life and embracing death. There's one scene in particular that makes me stop and think multiple times throughout my day. It's made me a more patient person, and it's made me start enjoying those subtleties of life that may have been passing me by before. And the scene is called The Secret Formula for Happiness. But first, let's back up a bit. This movie is about time travel, and I know that time travel sometimes has a silly connotation attached to it, but in this instance, it's used more as a vehicle for the characters to learn about themselves versus having a ton of rules about what they can and can't do to change their futures. The main character, Tim, discovers from his father on his 18th birthday that the males in the family can time travel. And out of all the things he could use this skill for, money, power, fame, Tim just wants to use it to find love. I'll spare you the details on how everything happens just in case you want to watch this movie for yourself one day, but spoiler alert, he does fall in love with a character played by Rachel McAdams. The movie goes on to show how no one love is perfect and that there are hard days alongside the easy ones. And all of this leads to one of the best scenes captured on film, where Tim's father reveals to him his secret formula for happiness. And that secret is to live each day once, but then, because he can time travel, go back and relive each day, but this time, in his words, without all the tensions and the worries that stop us from noticing just how sweet the world can be. Tim reflects on this and tries it out, and we as the viewer get to see both days back to back. On the first day, you can feel the stress in every scene. Tim and his friend Rupert are having a hard day at work, and their boss starts yelling at Rupert, critiquing his work in front of an entire room full of people. Tim's face looks resigned, and you can see his body language strain in real time. He wants to help his friend, but sometimes it's easier to stay quiet in those scenarios. They leave their office and head toward the courthouse for the trial, but on the way, Tim stops for a quick bite to eat. He's rushing, not paying any mind to his server while he checks out, and he doesn't even flash a smile or try to make small talk. He's intent on leaving as soon as possible because he has somewhere important to be, and this is just another action in the way. Then, when he gets to the courthouse, he runs with a purpose in anticipation of the trial as if he's already late for the proceedings. We then get to see inside the courtroom where, after everything that's happened earlier in the day, Tim's firm does end up winning the case, but his expression is more one of relief than happiness for his client after proving him not guilty of whatever he was accused for in this fictional scenario. Then, on the way home after a long day, Tim sits down next to someone on the tube who is blasting music out of their headphones as if the universe just put this guy next to him to cap off the day with one last inconvenience. And when he finally gets home, he's absolutely spent. This is meant to mirror what we all go through. We all have those tough days where it's hard to focus on anything but the task at hand, and sometimes that task isn't even fun. We've all had bad days at work, and we've all sat next to a stranger who's been playing their music too loud. And as you watch the scene, all of your memories of those scenarios come flooding back. It's super relatable, and that's why what follows hits so hard. We see him follow his dad's advice, and he goes to relive that same day, but this time, he allows himself to focus on all the good that's out there. Instead of the anxiety, instead of the annoyance, and instead of the pain, this time when he and his friend are getting yelled at by their boss, all Tim wants to do is cheer him up. He's cracking funny faces while his boss can't see, and it's an important reminder that you can always put in the effort to help a friend when they're feeling down. That feeling of getting harsh feedback from your boss won't last forever, even though sometimes it may feel like it will, and Tim helps Rupert remember that life isn't actually so serious. When Tim picks up his food, this time he smiles at his cashier and he tries to brighten her day during that brief moment that they share together. Her mood lifts as a result, and all it took was that tiniest bit of effort. It just goes to show how far a simple smile or a few words can go. When he walks through the courthouse, he decides to look up this time and take in the marbled ceilings and the beauty all around him, because sometimes that extra 5 or 10 seconds is all you need to keep yourself grounded. This time during the trial, Tim celebrates for his client once they win their case. He's looking around, helping everyone else radiate with the same positive energy that he feels. Rupert is also in good spirits here, and this helps illustrate that a good end to the day can help you forget about the stresses from earlier on. Tim also cheekily knocks off Rupert's wig and runs to inject a bit of fun into an otherwise serious scenario. And he also gives his client a hug before leaving the courthouse together. But my favorite of all is when he hears the overly loud music coming from that stranger's headphones on the train, because he decides to just jam along. He breaks out the air guitar and goes to town. It's something so simple, but it's all about taking a negative experience and making it into a positive one. And truthfully, that last bit is what gave me the idea for this video because it used to be my biggest pet peeve. I have a vivid memory of going to the doctor's where some iPad kid was playing his games at full volume for all of the lobby to hear, and I was fuming at the time. But all I can think of now when I recall that experience is, why was I so mad? That kid was just having a great time playing a game. I freaking love games. I wish I could have been playing a game before going into the doctor's office. What I'm trying to say is, this movie taught me that I have control over those little things that can make me a happier person. Now, I always try and look up if I'm outside or if I'm in a place that's beautiful. I try to make small talk when I can, and most importantly, I can deal with iPad kids when they're playing their games at full volume. But if a spark of anger does start to grow inside me, which of course it still does from time to time, I know how to easily put it out. This scene truly helped me practice patience, and whenever I start to get annoyed with something now, I literally think about this scene. It happens multiple times per day. The image in my head is always of Tim playing air guitar next to that stranger on the subway. For me, that is such a powerful image. In the film, Tim goes on to say that he takes the lesson one step further from the way that his dad taught him. He says that instead of reliving each day, he now tries to live his life normally, but instead, he tries to see the best parts of his day on the first try. And this gives me chills. The power that we have on how things affect us, it's all internal. And the real reason that I'm making this video is that I want people to feel this and understand. If you've never seen About Time, I can wholeheartedly say that you're doing yourself a disservice. Make the time tonight, tomorrow, whenever you can. I promise it'll change your life for the better. And there's so much more to love than just what's in this scene. It's written and directed by Richard Curtis, the same guy who made Love Actually, and it stars Donald Gleason and Rachel McAdams. And their chemistry is off the charts. I don't think I've ever been as invested in an on-screen romance as I was with theirs. Bill Nye is in this movie as well, and he really steals the show as Tim's father. I didn't talk as much about the father-son dynamics in this movie, but they are every bit as important as every part of the romance plot. Margot Robbie is even in this movie before she got famous for Wolf of Wall Street, so if everything else I've said hasn't resonated, just go in for that. But trust me, this movie just fills you with love. It teaches you to embrace the chances that you're given and to not squander the opportunities that life hands you. It's heavy while being hopeful, and it strikes that balance perfectly. So, I hope this video helps you in some way. I'd love to hear about your experience with the movie, or if there's any other piece of media out there that's helped you in a similar way. I've been wanting to make this video for a while, so I really hope you enjoyed it. Please like, comment, subscribe, do all the YouTube stuff, and thank you so much for watching.